Steve, what is it with Chaminade? Not exactly one of the powerhouse basketball teams.
No, but they seem to do this. They're upset-minded, I think, and they've got the team that's good enough to knock off some pretty powerful teams out there. In college basketball, the Giant Slayers did it again. Last week we told you about the small Hawaii college called Chaminade, upsetting now 20th-ranked Louisville. Well, they knocked off another college powerhouse, number 4 Southern Methodist University. The Silver Swords' latest victory is a controversial one. Now, time had expired in the game, but the buzzer never sounded, so the officials put 1 second back on the clock, and in that 1 second, Kevin Whitney hit a 20-foot jumper to give Chaminade a 71-70 win over SMU. The victory also gave Chaminade the trophy in its own tournament. Some more scores for you here. 17th-ranked Oklahoma took the consolation round by beating Louisville 90-72. In pro ball, the Denver Nuggets take to the hardwood tonight in McNichols Arena to face the San Antonio Spurs. Coach Doug Moe worked his players yesterday, Christmas Day, trying to restart a stalled offense. But even though his team has been struggling of late, Moe's quite happy with Denver's standings.
That's why we want to correct this now. It's and to tell you the truth, again, if someone had asked if we could be 17-11 in first place at this time, or tied for first place, we would have jumped on it and not played any games. So we're in good shape.
In NBA action last night, Philadelphia got by Detroit 109-108. Cleveland edged Atlanta by 3 points. There's that score. The New York Knicks couldn't beat the New Jersey Nets despite 60 points by Bernard King. He's incredible. The Nets won 120-114. And Portland broke a 6-game losing streak by beating Golden State 106-97. The Denver Broncos hit the practice field with vengeance today. That's as they begin their final tune-up for Sunday's playoff game against Pittsburgh. Head coach Dan Reeves is definitely not fielding a team of grizzled veterans, but says he doesn't mind putting Denver's youth against Pittsburgh.
I think it's nice to have that enthusiasm. I know that in '75, Pittsburgh was very young, Dallas was very young, and both of us were excited about being in that Super Bowl. I think it's nice to have a good blend of youth and veteran guys, which I think his team has. I think our players have learned an awful lot about themselves this year because we've played an awful lot of close games. Hopefully that's going to come in handy for us in the playoffs. Being a sudden death situation, you've got to be able to win the close games if you're going to continue in the playoffs.
Two final notes. UPI has named Seattle coach Chuck Knox as its choice for Coach of the Year. And in college football, the Gray won the Blue-Gray All-Star Bowl by a score of 33-6. Those games generally don't mean too much, except that players, if they look good, will do fairly well in the draft that'll be coming up. Poor performance isn't supposed to hurt them in those games, but a good performance will do wonders for them.
All right, we're always hoping for the best performance. Thank you, Steve.
Okay, and now we've got the dreaded trivia question once again. Is it tough today?
Well, I'll ask it and you can tell me. How many days of sunshine can Coloradans expect in the average year?
320.
The answer's coming up, okay? All right. Christmas is over, but 11-year-old Steve Goodhue is still waiting for a very special Christmas present. Steve has been granted his wish to meet actor Burt Reynolds at his ranch in Florida. Steve is a victim of cystic fibrosis. But when the Make-A-Wish Foundation arranged the visit with Reynolds, Steve said he expects this to be the best Christmas ever. Now Steve's family and Reynolds are trying to arrange a time for the meeting. Thousands of people have been stumped by its infamous crossword puzzles, and thousands more depend on its faithful reporting of such items as the spring arrival of the first cuckoo. We're talking about the Times of London, the venerable paper that celebrates its 200th birthday this upcoming January with its first issue. The Times has covered everything from the French Revolution to the space shuttle and wielded a great deal of power through the years. Especially popular is the daily report on the royal family, which has been running since 1790. And speaking of the royal family, they gave England a special Christmas treat yesterday in a rare televised appearance. The occasion was the christening of Charles and Diana's second son, or Bonnie Prince Harry, as they're calling him. And what would a christening be without Grandma and Great-Grandma, even if they are the Queen and Queen Mother of England? 7 California families may live in the middle of a modern subdivision, but they may as well be living in the last century. Many of the families have to use old coal oil lamps and 1930s-style gas refrigerators. That's all because of a huge squabble between the power company and the local park district, which doesn't want overhead power lines. The families say while the two giants refuse to cooperate, it's the little people who are left in the dark. But cooperation is the name of the game here in Denver. Paul Day reports two different religious faiths working together in the wake of a disastrous fire.
Paul Day, News Center 4.
Okay, I'm going to guess 322 clear days.
And you said?
And I said 320 sunshiny days.
And the crew says?
322.
Okay, well, everybody's kind of sticking close to everybody. You're all big chickens, aren't you? All we have is an answer of more than 300 days, so you all get credit, you all win, okay?
Thanks, Steve.
The point is we get a lot of sunshine.
That's right.
Good reason to stay in Colorado.
Well, the Denver Nuggets are once again in the winning column, and maybe this spells the end of that little slump they were in for a bit.
I sure hope so. I sure hate to see them lose. They've had such an improvement in the first part of this year. You know, they traditionally start very slow, slow-starting team. This year they got off to such a quick start, got into first place, and we hate to see them drop out.
Right.
But the Denver Nuggets are all alone and back on top the NBA Midwest Division. Last night, while Houston was losing to Milwaukee, Denver was upsetting the Spurs at McNichols by a score of 130 to 119. San Antonio kept it close much of the game, but Coach Doug Moe had his offense on the road to recovery. Add to that some defensive wizardry, and it equals a Nuggets victory. Denver is now 18-11. Houston a game back at 17-12, and San Antonio is at 13-17. A relieved Doug Moe says this is just what the doctor ordered.
We needed a win. We needed a win badly. We played aggressive, and that was good. It was we had everybody aggressive. So defense second half was all over the place, helping out. So it was a good game for us.
Tomorrow night the Nuggets take on the Los Angeles Lakers at Big Mac. Well, the Broncos are back at work after their holiday break. They'll work out again today, getting ready for Sunday's playoff game against Pittsburgh. Steve Foley didn't practice yesterday. He's still bothered by a bad back. And Gary Kubiak took an extra day off. He got hit by the flu. Sunday's game will reunite some old friends. Broncos' Barney Chavis used to room with Steeler Donnie Shell in college. News Center 4's Les Shapiro in Pittsburgh, and he talked to an old friend of Broncos' Sammy Winder.
On Sunday, regardless of the outcome.
Broncos cornerbacks Mike Harden and Louis Wright will have their hands full on Sunday. Not only will they be covering lips, but they'll also be working against all-pro wide receiver John Stallworth. Harden tells us about his strategy to stop the two pass catchers.
Personally, I think that what we've got to do is play with intensity and not give up any big plays, and make them have to work hard for everything that they get, and make it a very long day for them.
Finally, in sports, an upset marks the inaugural game of the Freedom Bowl in college football. 20th-ranked Texas got whipped by Iowa, the score 55-17. And that's a look at sports. Don?
Okay, thank you, Steve.
Time for our trivia question with a little bit of history involved.
That's right. What Colorado County is named for a famous mountain man?
Easy question.
Easy one. Okay, well, we'll see about that. We'll answer that in a little while. In our People News today, comedian Dudley Moore is married to not one but two dilemmas in his latest film. Entertainment specialist Norval Rose talked with the actresses who portray Mickey and Maude in the film.
Norval Rose, entertainment specialist, News Center 4, Los Angeles.
And what Colorado County was named after a famous mountain man? Jeff DeMott said Grizzly Adams. No?
I was going to say Robert Redford, but I'll say Kit Carson.
Kit Carson is right.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve. Well, the time now is 6:40, and stay set on 4 because we're going to have news from around the world, the nation, as well.
Taking a look at sports now. It's the eve of the playoffs.
Oh, good time of year, too. You know, lots of excitement generated by all this NFL activity. As you said, it is the eve of the NFL playoffs, week 2. And it all kicks off tomorrow at 10:30 when the Seattle Seahawks travel to Miami to take on the Dolphins. Miami's the pick in this one, but it should be a display of aerial excitement with quarterbacks Dave Craig and Dan Marino. Also on Saturday at 2 in the afternoon, the New York Giants are in San Francisco to take on the 49ers. San Francisco is heavily favored in that game. Then on Sunday, Washington is the pick to beat Chicago at home. Game time is 10:30. And then at 2, the game you've all been waiting for. Pittsburgh meets the Denver Broncos in Mile High Stadium. That can be seen right here on Channel 4. Some good news for the home team in that one. Starting free safety Steve Foley was in pads and practicing yesterday, meaning he will play Sunday. He says the key to victory is stopping the Steelers' running game.
They have Abercrombie and Pollard, and they've been running the ball well. And we're going to have to stop their running game and make them throw the ball, get them out of there. They'd like to control the ball game and play action pass and run, and we're going to have to stop them.
Now the Broncos would seem to have an advantage in this one, a solid defense, the home field advantage, etc. But as Les Shapiro reports from the Steel City, Pittsburgh has tradition on their side.
Their defense was called the Steel Curtain. From Pittsburgh, Les Shapiro, News Center 4 Sports.
And in college football, the 16th-ranked Tigers of Auburn beat the Razorbacks of Arkansas 21-15 in the Liberty Bowl. And finally, in sports, in basketball, the NBA rankings are out, and they put the Denver Nuggets at #1 in offense, but next to last in defense. The Nuggets face the LA Lakers in Big Mac tonight, and that may sound like bad news with the Nuggets being next to last in defense, but they were always dead last, it seems, in the last couple of years. And that's it for sports.
Steve, who's your pick for the game tomorrow, Pittsburgh, Denver?
I'd be a fool to say anything else. Denver. Just because Denver, as we said, has this very solid defense, and the home field advantage is a big factor.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much, Steve.
Well, Steve is rejoining us now, and for you TV fans, here's a trivia question for you.
All righty. What was the code name for Maxwell Smart's girlfriend on Get Smart?
I have a feeling it's double digits somewhere.
Everybody knows this one. I thought everybody would be afraid to admit they knew the answer and that they watched that show, but here's your chance to own a little piece of country music history. The Texas honky tonk where singer Willie Nelson got his start is up for sale. The 63-year-old owner of the Owl Bar says she just can't get around like she used to. But she can remember when the teenaged Willie Nelson used to pedal his bike 4 miles to the bar to play in the country band. Marge Lundy claims the only time she worried about Willie's career was when his voice started changing. Fortunately, she says, it changed for the better. And while Willie is on the road again, Monique Alexander is going home. The 14-year-old girl has been in Denver's University Hospital since the age of 3 after she suffered severe spinal cord injuries in a car wreck. Now she's moving back to California, and she's looking forward to a new life in a home for the handicapped.
It's pretty exciting, but I'm gonna miss my friends here. But it's time for something else.
But after a decade at University Hospital, Monique says she's going to miss the nurses who have become her family. Yesterday, those nurses threw a going-away party for one of their favorite patients. And Monique got some going-away gifts, but nothing like the Christmas gift an Ohio man wishes he could exchange. Unfortunately, Tom Sikora doubts he'll get anyone to take the lime green pig with red toenails sent to him by a friend. It's the latest in a series of revenge gifts the two have been sending back and forth, and Tom says he's already plotting next year's gift. Today in history, Iowa became the 29th state in 1846. In 1832, John C. Calhoun became the first U.S. president to resign. And in 1869, a momentous occasion, chewing gum was patented by an Ohio man. And the trivia answer, okay, everybody knows. 99.
We all watch this show, we'll admit it.
Our favorite.
All right, time now, it's 6:40. After a short break, we're going to
to News Center 4 today at 6:15 on this Friday morning. Time to take a look at sports.
And Denver's other football team, I guess you can say, the Denver Gold, were busy yesterday drafting people, Steve.
That's right. The Denver Gold is always hoping to strike it rich in the USFL Open Draft. Went mining for defensive players yesterday. Now, to explain, the USFL really has two drafts. The territorial, where teams pick from schools they have exclusive rights to draft from, and the Open, where players not grabbed in the territorial draft are eligible to be picked by any team in the league. In yesterday's Open Draft, the Gold grabbed 4 defensive players and 1 offensive man. They are John Nevins, a linebacker from Cal State Fullerton, wide receiver Brad Caleb from East Central Oklahoma, Calvin Laval, a defensive back out of Idaho, Doug McCullis, a former Portland State defensive end, and safety Mark Pembroke, also from Cal State Fullerton. In last month's territorial draft, the Gold picked linebacker Alan Crite out of CU, linebacker Scott Strasburger from Nebraska, a wide receiver from CU, Kelly Johnson, and offensive back Rusty Hilger from Oklahoma State. Surprisingly, the Gold didn't take CU running back Lee Rusin, the only member of the Buffaloes to go to the Blue-Gray All-Star Bowl. He got picked by the New Jersey Generals in the first round of the Open Draft. The Generals also picked 4 players from Boston College, hoping to influence, with a lot of owner Donald Trump's money, Heisman Trophy winner Doug Flutie, to join that USFL team. But at last word, Flutie was going to wait for the NFL draft before deciding which league he'd like to sign with. In college football, the NCAA has put the University of Georgia on 1-year probation. The school says the action was taken primarily because of actions by Georgia boosters who aren't hired by the schools. The penalty does not affect TV or postseason play appearances, but the university will lose 7 scholarships in each of the next 2 years. Here in Colorado in basketball, CSU is in its Western Athletic Conference schedule, opening with an impressive 69-58 win over Hawaii in Fort Collins. With the victory, the Rams are at 8-3. And some other scores. Metro State whipped Western State 74-66, and Regis beat up on Wabash 72-64. Among the ranked teams in college basketball, Minnesota, the Golden Gophers, upset number 6 Illinois by 2. Georgia Tech, ranked 8, coasted past Maryland Eastern Shore 93-40. Number 9 North Carolina beat Stetson 85-71. 10th ranked DePaul destroyed St. Mary's of California 76-53. Number 11 Kansas had a tough time with Texas Southern winning finally in overtime by 4. And 15th ranked Washington handled Stanford 78-69. Finally, in sports, coming up on Sunday, 2 football games which will determine who goes to this year's Super Bowl game. In the NFC Championship, San Francisco will battle the Chicago Bears in San Francisco. It's the arm of 49ers quarterback Joe Montana against the speed of Bears running back Walter Payton. In the AFC Championship, the Steelers, those surprising Pittsburgh Steelers, travel to Miami to face the Dolphins and their great young quarterback, Dan Marino. And that's a look at sports.
Steve, and thanks for joining us for News Center 4 today on this Friday morning.
Welcome back to News Center 4 today. It's 6:36 and a fairly mild Friday morning, 26 degrees out there.
Ed Green's working the late shift for Larry today, but that doesn't mean you get off without a trivia question. Steve Anderson's here to ask us that question.
No such luck. What state is known as the land of enchantment? Everybody, it's more common knowledge than trivia almost, I think. We'll answer that one in a little bit. Enchanting is not a good description for Goldie Hawn's latest effort on the silver screen, according to entertainment specialist Norval Rose. Here's his review of Protocol.
Let's see. Province, proverbial, protuberance. Norval Rose, entertainment specialist, News Center 4.
Sounds like a cute film.
Yeah, I think it would be, but the answer to today's trivia question is New Mexico, and our floor director this morning, Tommy Lyons, had breakfast, some oatmeal. Was it good this morning, Tommy? If you open up these packs of oatmeal, you get a trivia question with it. Yeah, real interesting. Maybe you know the answer to this. More hot dogs are sold in this place than anywhere in the U.S. O'Hare Airport in Chicago, Shea Stadium in New York, or Disney World in Orlando. What do you think it is?
Disney World.
That's what I said. What
Shea Stadium? Yeah, it's O'Hare?
It's O'Hare Airport.
Is that right?
Surprisingly.
Okay.
A bonus for you.
Thanks, Steve.
Before we get to 7 o'clock today, we've got headlines from around the world.